Well, good day and welcome to you. It is June the 27th. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you happen to be. My name is Gary Willing. I want to welcome you to Search for Signs. And as always, I want to point out, if you want to know more about this information, I do think the best thing you can do to learn more about what we talk about here in terms of the Masters of Wisdom, Maitreya, their priorities especially, why they're here, what does it mean for you that they're here, is to definitely check out some of the websites that I provided links for in the description portion of each and every one of these videos. But there's other links to other websites that talk about things that are related to this topic, but not directly related in terms of they don't mention Maitreya or anything like that. So you can look at it however you want to look at it. All right, let's get on into it. I do have some comments to cover and some questions. I want to thank some people here real quick who took the time to comment in the way that they did. Let's see. Jim, is it Oberg? Thank you for your comment. Ricardo, thank you again for your comment as well. Mark Hill, The Flying Car Show, all the latest. Vanessa Rivera. Is it Jethro Joshua? Thank you. Bill Sohan, appreciate your comment. Lam Mai and Psalm 27. I think I got everybody. So if I didn't mention you, I want to thank you as well for taking the time to comment. I always like it when people comment and ask questions for sure. All right, now let's get on into it. I do have a couple comments to cover. First one comes from Mark Hill. Save our planet, save soil. Okay, so I don't know if you mean save our soul, maybe, I don't know. But be that as it may, I do want to address again, because I did it a few videos, actually a long time ago, actually not even a few videos, a lot of videos ago I talked about it. But SOP Save Our Planet, I have it in every one of the videos in terms of a picture. I even have it on a thumbnail for the video itself. And it's important because the masters are hoping that SOP Save Our Planet becomes a rallying call for all those who are looking to do just that, save our planet. And it's a very simple phrase. They're hoping that it catches on, goes viral, as you would like to say. But the time is definitely now, to do that. I will say this, though, too. If you're somebody who has been talking to people about the environment and you're getting nothing but static from the people in your life about it, especially if you're talking about climate change, might I suggest shifting gears with them and talk about pollution. I've done this numerous times with people in my life who are very much against climate change. They don't think there's any truth to it, or if there is any truth to it, it does not matter, that kind of stuff, because of what they're getting. Now, according to the masters, if you trust this information on any level, they will tell you that it's quite serious. Climate change is very serious. But actually, pollution is the greatest killer out there. That's what's really killing humanity and the lower kingdoms off, making our planet unlivable in the way that it is. But one of the arguments that gets thrown back at me from people who I've talked to about this, and you probably have the same experience, is people will say, well, they've been saying for decades that it's so serious that if we don't do something about it, that we won't be here much longer, but yet we're still here. And that's true. The other thing is, the other side of the coin would be people who think that we have about a week and a half to get it taken care of, or that's it, right? And that's not true either. It is serious. We should have more of a sense of urgency about it, but there is time. I do think that what people aren't taking into consideration, that this is one of the pieces of this information that might give you a little bit of hope, is that humanity is getting help from higher help. And the reason why we are still here in regards to climate change and pollution is help directly related to the Space Brothers activity that's been going on for decades. And one of the great jobs that they're doing when we see UFOs, or even when we don't see UFOs, is they're here cleaning up the pollution in our atmosphere within karmic limits. And that's what's allowing us to still be able to live on this planet at this time. So they're doing it. They can't do it forever. We have to learn to not do it ourselves. But it won't. I don't think humanity is going to be able to do it ourselves. I think we will eventually have to look to Maitreya and these masters for guidance on what to do. I don't think the left really has an answer in terms of how to really tackle climate change and the pollution aspect of it. And the right is in total denial of it. But I do think that when we look to Maitreya for advice, he'll give us very simple advice on how to solve this problem. But again, if you're to circle back around to it, if you're somebody who's very interested in the environment, wants to save the environment, try saying that phrase, SOP, save our planet. So hopefully you'll use it as a rallying cry for yourself as well. All right. The next one was comment that I want to cover was so silly, but I did want to kind of address it because I do think there's something there that we can talk about. Bill Sohan was commenting about a video I put up some years ago. What happened to Maitreya's interview? Why hasn't anyone recognized him? Was the title of the video. And he wrote, contact Benjamin Creme in spirit or Ascended Lady Master Alice Bailey, and either of them will tell you who Maitreya is. Okay, well, good luck with that. I knew Benjamin Creme for years. I always say this when I talk about Benjamin Creme, that I knew him pretty well, but I didn't know him as well as others, and maybe better than others. So I was kind of somewhere in the middle. And I knew him for a couple decades, and I saw him quite a bit of time in that time, and saw him when he was around a lot of other people, but I also had time to talk to him when it was just he and I. So I got a chance to really know him. And he said when he was alive that if somebody were to ask him who Maitreya was and what the name he's using on TV, that's really what it is. Not who he was, but what name is he using on TV, what channel maybe you could see him or website you could go to see him and so forth. He said that he was not allowed to say that. And he always he gave a strict warning to people to not do it as well, that it would infringe upon their free will if we did that. So good luck trying to contact him in spirit and see if he says anything. The other funny thing too I want to say is, some years ago when he was here in Atlanta giving a lecture, after the lecture was over, we all met at a friend of ours' house, a coworker's house, and we had a little party and a little get-together afterwards and so forth. And there was this gentleman there who's passed away, unfortunately, but he used to do transmission meditation with the group, kind of off and on. He wasn't really consistent with it, but he would, kind of come and, stay for a few weeks and then kind of leave. And he did kind of help with the lecture a little bit. But he he said in front of everybody, he said to Ben, he goes, I just sent you a healing. And Ben was like, you did? Did you ask if it was okay? And he goes, no, I didn't have to ask you personally. I just asked your soul. And he goes, you sure you want to talk to my soul? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, okay, I don't think you're going to like what my soul has to say. Yeah, no. And, there's been claims that Benjamin Creme was using a channeled medium to channel information through. I don't think there's any truth to any of that stuff. Based on personally what I know about Benjamin Creme, that I don't think he would ever have used a medium in that way to get any kind of information out there. Everything you need to know about Benjamin Creme, you can read. He left nothing on the table when he died. And so he just laid it out there for you. So if you really want to know who he was, definitely check that out, and read some of these books. Go to the Sharon National website. You don't need to channel his spirit or contact his spirit to know what he would say. Just read what he said about it. When people asked him, he said, I'm not allowed to tell you, and so that pretty much should tell you exactly what his attitude would be, even in the spirit worlds, as they say. All right. Now, but thank you for that though. All right. The next one was kind of silly too, but I'll talk about this one too real quick. Psalm 27, no one can hinder its fulfillment. What about the Creator God Almighty, or can Maitreya defeat him with UFOs? What are you talking about? Have you even listened to anything that I've had to say? I have to say, when I read this question, I was a little down for about an hour after this. I was like, how am I having any impact on people who don't know this information? You have to you have to listen. Whoever wrote this, you have to listen to what is being said to you to really understand it. You can't just guess it. Does that make sense? And so I don't know where you're coming from with this. I haven't said anything remotely close to this. So there is nothing to what you had to ask. Maitreya has only come here to teach humanity how to live as a family, how to help us to establish peace on this planet. And he said the only way we can do that is through the principle of sharing. The only thing that he is here to defeat is ignorance and fear. And he says himself, he says, I come to do battle with ignorance and fear, division and want. And so that is what he's here for, not to defeat the Creator God Almighty or what you would think that would be. He's here to teach us the art of self-realization, how we can realize the Creator God Almighty moment to moment, and not just when you die, or live and aspire to when you die. The truth of the matter is that God is everywhere, and God divine is within every bit of creation. We just have to realize it for ourselves, and it's within the truth. The truth of that is within the hearts of all of us, and that's what He's here. That's why these masters are here to teach us, is that. So there is no defeating Him with UFOs. I don't know where you got that, but anyway, thank you for the question, though. At least gave us something to kind of talk about. And then let's see. Lastly, the flying car show, all the latest. Could Satan be the real author of the Bible? No. Satan, and in fact, you capitalize Satan. People capitalized Antichrist all the time. If you look at the Bible, that Satan is not capitalized, and neither is Antichrist. And so Satan has been interpreted as the fallen angel who, at some point within the first week of God creating everything, decided he got fed up with it and did battle with God in heaven at some point. Which makes no sense, because according to what a lot of people who believe this, believe that God created the heavens and the earth within 7 calendar days, right? 24-hour periods. So at what point did this angel get fed up with and get tired of living and having to deal with God? Is he that much of a micromanager? You know what I'm saying? That within less than a day, he's like, that's it, I'm out. There's no truth to any of that. It's just, it's all that was a symbol for humanity starting to individualize. That whole Garden of Eden was the same thing. Was Lucifer is Latin. It's a word that's Latin, which means bringer of light. Look it up. But they've making it out to be the name of this evil individual who is Satan, right? But Satan, I think, is a personification of the selfish nature within all of humanity. And when the religious folks around the world use Satan, well, Satan made me do it, the devil made me do it, and all that kind of stuff, it kind of absolves you of any kind of wrongdoing. It's somebody else did it, made you do it. You know what I mean? So the masters are here to teach us that we actually have within both hands the choice to do either really good or really bad, and it depends on you. They're here to teach us how to live within the laws of cause and effect, harmlessness, infringement of free will, and other laws, but those are the main ones. The law of cause and effect being the biggest one. It's one of the greatest teachings that Jesus gave humanity. What you sow shall you reap. Very simple. But it's a law that is universal. It's a law that affects everything. It's a law that even if you move to another planet, it would still affect you on that other planet. It's a law that affects everything, because we live in a unified universe that's totally one. So when you harm somebody else, you're actually harming yourself in the process. And whatever you put out, you get back in equal proportion. So if you put out destructive thoughts or destruction, violence, fear, anger, hatred, that comes back to you in that way. Just ask Donald Trump. I mean, what he puts out, he's getting back. You can see it on TV in a person, in a celebrity, right? I mean, the media hates him for the most part, and yet he was the one that kind of kicked it off and started it, didn't he? Now, if he had a different approach with the media, they would have a different approach with him. But if you look within any one of our lives, we all have the same problem. You know what I mean? If we put out nothing but anger and fear and distrust and, gossip about other people, well, guess what's going to happen to us? We're going to have that same crap coming back to us in that same way. Everyone without exception. If you put out love, creative thoughts, generous thoughts, then that comes back to you in that same way. So it's a very simple law, but it's a law that we need to learn how to live. But I think that's what what the Bible was talking about. So the other thing too is, who was the real author of the Bible? My wife just asked me this question: who wrote the Bible? She asked me this yesterday, actually. She doesn't believe in any of this really. She's more of a religious type. We still are able to live under the same roof some kind of way, but anyway. And I responded by saying it was hundreds, maybe even thousands of people over thousands of years contributed to the Bible. And people who probably shouldn't have contributed to the Bible contributed to the Bible and took away what they didn't want to take away, didn't want in the Bible and so forth. So there's this, it really's got a lot of holes to it that I think when originally some of the early writers, like Origen, were writing the Bible, that was all taken out because he talked about reincarnation to a greater or lesser extent. And they took it all out because they didn't want to talk about it, because it didn't give them any control over the people. And it was a tremendous evil that they did, because it's created nothing but fear about death, fear about each other, fear about the unknown, the misunderstanding that we only have one life and that's it, that there isn't more to life than just this one life for the individual and so forth. But yet it was in the Bible, in that way, talking about reincarnation. One of the two greatest laws, the law of cause and effect and the law of rebirth or reincarnation, But, and so I personally don't look to the Bible as the truth of all things. Everything is written in the Bible is written there by God. There are truths in the Bible that are divine. Classic example, what I just talked about, which you sow shall you reap. Those who live by the sword shall die by the sword. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Couldn't agree more with those things. Very hard to live by and live within those laws, but if you do it, you'll become a better person in the process, right? There are other things that really don't matter that much, or there's no truth to it at all, but yet create confusion within the minds of the person because they're looking to it as truth. Like, why would that be true? And then there's a lot of contradictions to the Bible because it was written by a bunch of different people at a bunch of different times and then put together and consolidated in one book called the Bible. But yet even to today, with all the mass communications that we have, there are still interpretations of the Bible that people see as different. I mean, look at it. There's the what is it? The King James Bible. There's the New King James Bible, the American Standard Bible. I mean, there's a lot of them, and they're all written somewhat differently. So there's different interpretations even in that way. But so that's what I would say is it's written by man, and it was written by man about, especially the New Testament, about a very, very advanced teacher who demonstrated love perfectly for the first time, not the last time, but for the first time in humanity in that way. And yet they've taken this teacher talking about love in the way, and demonstrating and manifesting love in the way that Jesus did, and perverted it and made him into this being that's neurotic, that needs people to worship him, needs people to believe in him. And then and it's created so much confusion and distortion even to this day that people in modern society use him as a justification for violence against other people. And yet he was nothing but divine love. I mean, there was a representative, her name was Lauren Boebert, one of the stupidest members of Congress that has ever graced the halls of Congress, said if she said it, whether she was joking or not, there was something behind why she said it like this. I would never have thought to say this, but she said if there was more AR-15s during the time of Jesus, Jesus might have been able to avoid crucifixion or something to that degree. I mean, she is a stupid joke coming from a stupid person, which didn't get a lot of laughs even amongst those people, but that was her take on it. There was a lady running for governor in Georgia, got blown out in the Republican primary this year. On the side of her campaign bus says, "Jesus guns babies," in that order. Now, if you read it all as one sentence, it sounds like, Jesus is gunning down babies or something like that. But that was her priorities: Jesus, guns, and babies. So it is total nonsense. And it's created this illusion in the United States, especially, of this God-given right from the right politically that they have based on this. They've claimed Jesus as their own, but yet the Jesus that they've claimed, there's really no truth to that Jesus. The Jesus that was in Palestine, that lived in Palestine, is very much in line with the teachings of Maitreya, because Maitreya was working through him at that time. That's the truth of the matter. You don't have to believe that, but that's the esoteric truth of it. And so if you look at the teachings of Jesus, what they really were, and the teachings of what Maitreya is, there's no difference between what they're saying. So, but anyway, no, I don't think Satan was the author of the Bible. And then lastly, comes from Psalm 27. Are not the masters of wisdom fallen angels? No, not at all. Out to deceive the whole world? No, not at all. That's my simple answer. And you put Psalm 27. If you read, I think it's Hebrews 12:23. I think is the verse, if I'm not mistaken. It says, just men made perfect and that was according to one of the writers of the Ageless Wisdom Teachings, was a direct reference to the masters. There are other indirect references to the masters too. I think even when Jesus looked at the people and said, when they were in awe of what he was doing in terms of the miracles that he was performing and the healings and so forth, and even just his wisdom and his teachings and so forth, and he said to them, greater things than this shall you do yourself, I think was an indirect reference to each and every one of us being divine, each and every one of us having the potential that he has, and even greater than that, which is what these masters are. They are potential. That's all who they are. And they are here to teach us. Now, the reason why someone would ask that question is of their own religious beliefs, but it's also because all of the knowledge of the masters has been long forgotten for eons. And so this is a whole new level of truth that people have totally forgotten about. But there was a time, eons upon eons ago, when the masters are out known for who they were, teaching humanity in the way that they were. And yet, over the eons that they've been living away from the public eye in the way that they're doing, working indirectly with humanity through the disciples, all the knowledge pretty much of these masters has long been forgotten. It's starting to come out now. It started with Helena Blavatsky about 100 and something years ago. I think 1875 is when she first wrote about the masters, about her experiences with these masters. And then there was Helena Roerich, and then Alice Bailey, and then Benjamin Creme were really the four biggies of introducing the knowledge of the masters and the truth of the masters to the public in the way that they did. And got nothing but backlash their whole lives. Every one of those, Helena Blavatsky, Helena Roerich, Alice Bailey, and Benjamin Creme, all got nothing but backlash from the public about it. But they did a tremendous job in terms of letting humanity know of their presence. But yet, in the very near future, we'll know for real who they are. And there are other people who have known about the masters and have been afraid to talk about them, perhaps. Other people have had experiences and talk about it in their own way, like myself. But the biggies are the people like Benjamin Creme and Alice Bailey and Helena Blavatsky for sure, and Helena Roerich. So, but anyway, hopefully that answers that question. But they are not fallen angels, and they're not here to deceive us. They are here to help us, but they're also here to show us what it means to be divine, what it means to truly be who we are, which is divine. Every one of us is divine, without exception. Hopefully that helps. You guys take care. Have a great day. Remember to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.